So inside Affinity Designer with a new document open and a reference photo of a Greek motif placed inside, let's go ahead and start this off. Now, the way I'm going to approach this design project is by using the pen tool to draw several paths and create pressure profiles in order to form variable stroke widths. Okay, so I'm just going to tap on the pen tool here. I'm going to pinch to zoom in, and I'm going to tap and drag to create my first node. Notice that I have these two control handles. That always is very helpful to be able to form a nice curve. I'm going to tap and drag to get another node here. Tap and drag around there. And tap and drag to create the last node, like so. Then I'm going to switch to the node tool. And I'm going to move things around till I get a very nice and round curve that sits probably around the center of the whole Greek motif here. You see, everything pretty much sits at the center, because after all, we're going to increase the width, non-uniformly, of course. Okay, so let's say I like what I have. I'm going to tap on the Stroke Studio. There we go. And first I'm going to increase the stroke width a bit. There we go. And looking at the pressure input box, we will be using the display chart to create a custom pressure profile. Now, the way this works, for example, if I drag either end node downwards, it will reduce the stroke width uniformly along the stroke length. See that? Like so. Now, to form a variable width stroke, we can drag either end node downwards, then click halfway along the profile line to add a node, which can be dragged upwards or downwards to taper the stroke accordingly to the curvature of the graph. You can double tap to reset the pressure. In this case, I'm not going to do that. Or if you select this node, you can double tap to delete the node or reset the pressure. I don't want to do any of this. So I'm just going to keep things as is. And then let's go ahead and focus on the very first node here. Now the curve at this point, it does taper in, but not completely. So first I'm going to increase the width of the stroke. And then I'm going to tap on the first end node and bring this up a bit. Like so. And now look at the rest of the curve. Now on the other end, which is right here, the path tapers in. It tapers in all the way in. So I'm going to tap on this end node, bring this all the way down. Then on this profile line again, tap to add another node and bring this up. And start moving things around till I form exactly what I need to form. Okay. You just have to play around with these, of course. And perhaps I can bring this even lower here. I do like what I see. Increase the handles here, the curve. And perhaps bring this up more, but then move it around. Okay, just be careful not to get any artifacts on the roundness. It's very easy to do that. Okay, something like that. I want to also mention that at the very end, right here, you see we have this curved end. That comes from the advanced options here on when we set the contour of the line end as round, and under the advanced options, tap on the round cap rather than the butt cap. So if I select this and tap on the butt cap, see we're going to get that. But in this case, just make sure you get to tap on the round cap, okay, to have round ends, like so. And all I'm going to do now is basically just spend a little time on my own just to refine this a bit. And then we're going to continue and move on creating more of these guys. So I worked on the curved path on my own, dragging nodes around and refining the pressure profile variable widths. And this is what I came up with, which is quite close to the original motif. All right, so what's next? Well, we need to duplicate this 3 more times. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to tap and drag. And then I'm going to tap 2 fingers on the canvas here and place it over there. Okay. Now we need to rotate this, but we need to rotate this from a specific point. So for that, I'm going to tap on the point transform tool, which is this one right here. And then this here is your pivot point. I'm going to move this right there. And then on that end, I'm going to rotate this like so. Okay. We can also size this up a bit and perhaps rotate it even more. Okay. Something along those lines. You don't need to be perfect here. It looks okay, but again, I get a little bit of an artifact right here. See that? So in this case, you want to go back to the Stroke Studio and perhaps bring the width down a bit, or perhaps work on the curve just a tad so you don't get those artifacts. Okay? Again, you need to spend a little time on your own to do so and see what works for you. All right, I'll do the same here. I'm going to tap on this, tap and drag, tap 2 fingers on the canvas. Let me undo this. There we go. And then I'm going to use again the point transform tool. The pivot point remains the same. Bring this over here and perhaps size this up just a bit. And then again, tap and drag, tap 2 fingers on the canvas to create a duplicate. Tap on the point transform tool and bring this there. Okay. Definitely you can see here the artifacts on the round. So we need to play around with this. Perhaps bring the stroke width down. That would definitely help. Okay. And you know, you just have to spend a little time here, and you don't have to be extremely accurate. Meaning you don't have to follow exact the reference photo, as long as these things are nice and round. The same thing happens here, and you know, you get the idea. Okay, so I am going to spend a little time a little later, but let me show you something first. I'm going to select those 4 actually. I'm going to tap on that and then tap on the options bar at the bottom, add to selection, add to this one, this one, this one. And then I'm going to tap and drag, tap 2 fingers on the canvas to move this to the other end. And then let's see, under the Transform Studio, I'm just going to flip this horizontally like so. There we go. And perhaps you want to move it closer and so on. So this is what we get. Again, as I mentioned before, just going to spend a little time to refine this and see you on the next part. So again, after spending a little time on my own, this is what I came up with. And now I'm going to use again the pen tool, and then I'm going to tap once and tap here as well. Okay, so here, again, I'm going to tap on the Stroke Studio. What I can do is just double tap and reset the pressure. Okay, and then, of course, with the node tool, let's see, I'm going to taper this in. Okay, just to make sure that this is a straight point, of course. I'm going to be right there. And then perhaps bring this down a bit. And let's see, I'm going to add another node here. You see? Just increase the width. Okay, bring the node up and increase the width perhaps. Bring the node more up. And I think that looks pretty good. Perhaps at the very bottom, I can bring this down a bit, like so. Okay, nothing has to be perfect as long as it looks good. Okay, so that's how I did this one. Now I'm going to go to inside the layers here, and I'm going to tap on this layer. I'm going to lock it. Then I'm going to tap on the plus to create a new vector layer, because I want to work on this end here. Okay, so the way I did this, there are a lot of ways you can do this actually. The easiest way probably is to just tap on the pen tool, tap and drag, and tap and drag. Well, you can see now we have the previous variable width profile. So double tap to reset the pressure, bring this down quite a lot, and then play around with that curve. And under the advanced options, in this case, I need a butt cap. There we go. You see, that comes very handy. Just move this here. Try to have a nice curve to it. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to actually concentrate on these round paths. So again, I'm going to tap to lock this layer, and then going to tap on the plus to create a vector layer. Eventually, I'm going to merge all these layers and paths into one. But for now, I'm just going to double tap to select my ellipse, tap and drag to create a perfect circle here. And just going to place it there, tap and drag to just increase the size, like so. Okay. All right, so what I need to do here is basically cut the circle probably in half, okay? So let me select a node here. I'm going to tap two curves, select that node, and then tap on the break option. So if I tap and drag this out, I can just tap on the trash icon to delete it. Tap on that, tap on the trash icon to delete it, and now I have a half circle. From there on, I can continue. But how do we do this? Select the very end node, tap on the pen tool, and then let's try this, tap and drag. You see how nice it works? Tap and drag, and voila. I'm going to switch to the node tool. I'm going to have to fix those quite a lot. Okay. So I'm not done yet with this, of course. We have to spend a little time here. And so on, okay? Let me not spend tremendous amount of time so we can continue this. And I'm going to fix these things later. Okay, so again, with the node tool, I'm going to tap on this, tap on the pen tool, tap and drag. Perhaps I need only one path. I can try that. And then I'm going to tap on the node tool, tap on this to create another path, like so. Okay, you get the idea. All right, so as I mentioned before, I need to spend a little time here to make things look a little better. But in the meantime, let's go ahead on the Stroke Studio and tap on this end to taper this in. Do the same thing here. Tap on the profile curve here. And let's play around with these. This one seems to be okay. On the other end, I might need to add more. And this, I'm going to bring this here. There we go. And increase the width. Okay. So that will help me to fix the curve even more. All right. So this is okay. I'm not going to touch this, but I need to touch that. You see, I moved right there, and now it works. Bring this in, and this is not perfect, but as I mentioned before, I'm going to spend a little time on my own to do this. As for the other curve, you can tap on the pen tool, and I'm going to tap and drag to create a circular path, like so. Okay, definitely need to spend some time here, but let's get the general shape. Okay, what happens to that? Well, actually, this one tapers in, and this one doesn't. So I'm just going to tap on this, double tap to delete that node, because I don't need it, but it's tapered. So I'm just going to move it here. This is going to connect to each other, you know. Again, I'm going to spend a little time, but just want to show you here. As for this end, does it taper? Just a bit. It does taper a bit. There you go. You get the idea, right? Okay. This is not perfect. All right. So let me go ahead and spend a little time with this, make it much better, and see you in a few seconds. So I did spend time working on the path, and what I actually did was to change the plan a bit. Meaning on this end, I tapered the path so it just looks a little better on my point of view here. And I like that because if you look at the rest of the design, pretty much all ends are tapered in. Okay, so having said that, marquee select those two or just add to the selection here. Tap and drag, tap two fingers on the canvas to create this duplicate here. And just position this in alignment to the other one. And then tap on the Transform Studio to flip this horizontally. Okay? Something along those lines. So what else can we do? Well, we have the last remaining thing we can do. And again, I'm going to tap on that, lock this layer, tap on the plus to create a new vector layer, and just kind of focus on this guy. That's pretty easy. There are a lot of ways to do it. I'm just going to go the easy way here and tap and drag. And of course, I'm going to double tap to reset the pressure, bring down the width here quite a lot. Okay, so let me delete this for a second, redo this. It's just easier to do it this way. Tap and drag. Tap one finger on the canvas to change the direction of the path. Tap one finger on the canvas again to change the direction of the path. Tap and drag. And that's all I'm doing, okay? I'm not looking to do something perfect, but of course, it would be nice if I have a nice curve here. Tap and drag. Tap one finger on the canvas and close the path. And right here, we need to use the node tool, tap and drag, tap one finger on the canvas, and kind of bring this to almost a straight path. Okay, it's not perfect yet. All you have to do is just spend a little time here and just make the path better. Okay, quickly I'm doing this. There we go. And at this point, what you do is just, instead of a stroke, flip this, and we have this shape. All right. Actually, I'm pretty much done with all the shapes because I don't want to spend any more time on creating more of these motifs because it looks okay. You can add more things if you want, but let's see. I'm going to stop it here and then we're going to move to the next part and put in some texture and just arrange certain things. So this very next step involves us organizing this design project. And by that, I mean, I'm going to go to the layer studio here. And then I want to merge basically every layer under one layer. In this case, it's going to be under the Greek motif layer. So I'm just going to open up layer 1. I'm going to tap and hold and bring this under the Greek motif. Tap on layer 1 and then tap on the trash icon to remove it. I'll do the same thing on the layer 2. So I'm going to tap to select this curve and then tap and swipe to the right, tap and swipe to the right, and tap and swipe to the right to multi-select those layers, those curves. Then tap and hold and bring this inside the Greek motif. Tap on layer 2, remove it, tap on this curve, tap and hold and bring this under the Greek motif. And no need for layer 3. So basically we have everything under one layer, which is great. Now, because I'm going to probably send this to a printer, I want to make sure that all paths will be rasterized. Now, in case something goes wrong, you always want to keep a copy of that, of this layer. So with this layer selected, I'm going to go to the edit menu here, and then I'm going to tap on the duplicate. And now I have two identical layers. In this case, I'm going to toggle off the visibility of this layer. I'll do the same thing for the reference photo, like so. Okay, so that's one step. The next step is, let's give it a color. So I'm going to go to the color studio here. I've created my own color palette. Just going to tap on this color here to use. I'm going to also do the same thing for this little guy. It's going to swipe to the right. And then no need for stroke, like so. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing that I need to do is, as I mentioned before, because I'm going to send this to the printer, I'm going to rasterize every path. So in this case, let's say I'm going to tap on this curve, and then I'm going to tap on the merge and rasterize icon, which is this one right here. And then I'm going to select the rasterize option, like so. And now this one is just a path on its own. Okay, I'll do the same one here. Tap to rasterize. This one too. And you get the idea. I'm just going to spend a little time on my own and do this for all of these paths. So moving right along here, we're doing fine with our project. What I'm going to do is actually size this down. So I'm just going to tap on that and then just size this down quite a bit. And I'm going to place this Greek motif inside another shape. In this case, it's going to be like an amphora shape. This is something that I worked on my own here. I'm just going to paste that. But before, let me go ahead and create a new layer, a new vector layer. And then I'm going to go to the edit menu and just paste that. There you go. This is the shape that I worked on my own. And let's see, I'm going to rename things because I always rename layers to be very organized. In this case, that will be amphora. Click OK. And then perhaps I'm going to size this up or not. And then I'm going to tap and drag this and bring it under the Greek motif, like so. Okay, so you get the idea. We're going to place this around here, perhaps size it down even more. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is actually bring in a texture. So first, I'm going to tap to create a new vector layer. And then I'm going to use the rectangle tool. I'm going to tap and drag to create a perfect, just a rectangular here. And then let's see, under the color studio, no need for stroke, but I do need to change the color of my choice, which is this one right here. All right. And then I'm going to tap and drag and bring this under the amphora, like so. All right, this looks a little dull. So what we're going to do is actually bring in a texture. So how we're going to do this? Well, we're going to go to the place to place an image here. I'm going to do this from the import from photos inside my library here. And this texture actually comes from the retro supply source. I'm linking this below the video description. It's a great source of brushes and textures. I highly recommend you to check it out. So in this case, I'm just going to tap and drag for the texture. There you go. And I can actually resize it. It's okay. But it's a texture, so we can just go ahead and do that. All right. All right. So that's one thing. Another thing is, well, first of all, let me go ahead and rename these to perhaps texture. Hit enter, return. And well, I would like to blend this actually. So I'm going to tap on this, and under the layer options here are the blending modes. It starts with normal. So I'm just going to swipe up till I find the one that I like. Multiply can be a good option, but it's a very personal thing. Okay, so this is what we have for now. I'm just going to make some changes here and then see you in a few seconds on the next part. So we reached the end of this mini project inside Affinity Designer. So a couple of things I would like to add. So I'm just going to tap on the plus icon here to create a new vector layer, which I'm going to rename this to, instead of layer 1, to frame. Hit enter, return. And since I want to create a frame, I'm just going to use the rectangle tool. I'm going to tap and drag to create a rectangle to cover the whole canvas. Okay. In this case, let me go ahead and change the color inside the Color Studio. And since I'm creating a frame, I'm actually going to need a duplicate of this rectangle. So the easiest way to do this is go up to the edit menu and then tap on the duplicate command. And now I have two identical rectangles. Okay, so since I want to have a frame, I need to create a cutoff. But first I need to size down one of the rectangles. Now I can do this with the gestures. But in this case, I'm just going to jump into the Transform Studio, and I'm going to do this using the width and the height. So the first thing you want to pay attention here is to make sure that this link icon is enabled. So width and height are adjusted in proportion to each other, maintaining the current aspect ratio. And another thing you want to pay attention is the anchor point should be at the center of the object, like so. And now I can just scrub this down, you see, and I can see this sizing down uniformly. Perhaps something like that, okay? All right, so now I'm going to select both. So I'm just going to scrub this to the right. Both of these rectangles are selected. And since I want to create a cutoff, I'm going to go up to the edit menu. And I'm going to use one of the Boolean operations under the geometry category. And the Boolean operation is the second one, which is the subtract. So tap on that. And as you can see, we have a cutoff. Easy enough. Okay. So that's one thing. What else can I do? Well, just to be playful, I'm going to place another texture, again, that comes from the Retro Supply, a great source of brushes and textures. So in this case, I'm going to tap on the document menu and then tap where it says place image. I'm going to import this from my photos. I'm going to use that texture here. And we're going to get the message that says drag to place your image. I'm just going to drag to place my image. Okay, I'm going to rotate this from the handle here. And I don't really looking for something particularly other than make sure that some of the texture covers the frame around. Okay. All right. So that's one thing. Now, the problem here is that the photo covers everything. I want the photo actually to be clipped inside the frame. So the way you're going to do this is to tap and hold and bring this inside the photo right in the center here. And there you go. Now it's clipped inside the frame. Okay. That's one thing. Another thing is that I would like for the photo to blend around the frame. So the way we're going to do this, just make sure you're on the photo, go up with the layer options, and for blend mode, instead of normal, set your blend mode perhaps to screen. Okay. Now you don't see anything just because we have white on white. So I'm going to tap on the frame here, and inside the color studio, just going to change the color, you see. So if you bumped into this issue, that's how you can resolve it. All right. So let me go ahead and lock this layer so I don't accidentally move it. Tap on the plus icon to create a new vector layer, which again, I'm going to rename this to just text. Hit enter, return. And then here, well, you guessed it, I'm just going to type something. Nothing fancy. So tap on the artistic text tool, tap once, and I'm going to write here Greek motif. Okay, and I'm using just a font that I've loaded from my library here, something that I think that goes with this composition. Okay, so there you have it. This concludes this mini design project, an idea that can help you with your Affinity Designer skills using similar techniques. Thank you everyone for spending time with me. Let me know if you have any questions below the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share the knowledge.